Hello and welcome to Channel 781 Headlines. The former Fernald institution continues to make news with three major stories in the past month. On April 4th, GBH News reported that the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Civil Rights Division has opened an investigation into the apparent mishandling of patient records that were left out in the open when the institution closed and not removed from the site until this year. The investigation is in response to a complaint filed by the Disability Law Center, as well as a privacy breach report filed by the Department of Developmental Services, which operated the firm. According to DDS, those records are now in a storage facility as privacy lawyers determine what should be done with them. Another story from GBH on April 11th focused on the concerns raised by Waltham residents and members of the disability community about the city's plans for the site and the decision-making process. On the same day, the Boston Globe published an article revealing that the state police also used the Fernald site for storage and left behind records and physical evidence related to criminal cases from 1985 through 2008, including a double murder. According to the Globe, evidence was still on the site and was reported to Mayor McCarthy and other city officials in 2015, but it wasn't removed by state police until 2017. On the morning of April 17th, about 30 people, including two city councilors, showed up at the Fernald for a site visit announced by the city, only to find it had been canceled. The city currently has requests for proposals posted seeking lessees for 5 buildings at the site. The purchasing department initially planned site visits for some of the buildings on April 10th and the rest on the 17th, then postponed the 10th visit and announced that all the buildings could be viewed on the 17th. They later posted an addendum saying that April 17th visit was canceled and prospective bidders could look at photos of the site online instead. The Fernald has also been the subject of discussion in the Conservation Commission, where the city's recreation director turned down a request from the commission to visit the area that's under construction. You may recall in a meeting in March, a member of the commission raised concerns that the current work may be in violation of state law because of a feature on the site which may be a wetland. The recreation director joined their April 1st meeting and explained she did not involve the commission in the approval process because she doesn't believe it is in their jurisdiction, based on a report from a consultant hired by the project engineer, which said the feature in question is not a wetland. The commission has voted to hire a second consultant to do a peer review, and the recreation director said the peer reviewer will have access to the site, but members of the commission will not. We'll discuss all of those Fernald updates more on our debrief show. On April 4th, Mayor McCarthy sent a memo to the City Council asking them to re-examine the minimum parking space requirements for newer renovated buildings in our zoning ordinances, arguing that, quote, in many areas of the city, permitted density and lack of parking has created a nightmare for residents. The mayor was present at the April 16th meeting of the Rules and Ordinances Committee to discuss this issue, as well as the possibility of setting up a permitting system for commercial vehicles parked in Waltham. Our team is working on a special report where we'll take a closer look at parking issues in the city and their relationship to housing issues. On April 26th, the city of Waltham filed a lawsuit against its own zoning board of appeals over a decision involving a 3-family home on South Street that was damaged in a fire back in 2019. The owner, who lives in Bedford, has not yet rebuilt the house and had not demolished the burnt structure by December of 2022, when the city's building department sent him a remove and make safe order. According to the complaint submitted to Middlesex Superior Court by the city's law department on behalf of the building inspector, 3-family homes are no longer allowed in that area under the current zoning. The ordinance would have allowed the owner to rebuild the structure as a 3-family home if he had done so within a year of the fire, but he missed that deadline. On April 5th, the ZBA voted to approve variances requested by the owner that will allow him to rebuild the 3-family. The complaint argues the ZBA exceeded their authority by extending the deadline set forth in the ordinance and asked the court to reverse that decision. In school news, 2 library teachers at Waltham High School have been honored by the Massachusetts Commission on LGBTQ Youth. According to a press release from the commission, at their March 30th gala, Reba Tierney and Joyce Gwelly received the Advocacy and Education Award for being, quote, unwavering in their efforts to ensure that all students feel seen, heard, and represented in the educational materials, and helping to foster an environment of acceptance and understanding within the school community. The state State Commission was one of the first government offices in the world to address the well-being of queer youth in schools, starting in 1992. We learned last week that a popular portion of the Charles River bike and pedestrian path near Waltham Center is closed for the summer. On April 26th, the State Department of Conservation and Recreation, which is responsible for the Charles River Greenway, announced in a social media post that the section between Moody Street and Prospect Street will be closed until October to allow for maintenance on the beaches, path, and riverbank. On April 24th, Councillor Cates arranged a visit for Ward 7 residents to the offices of Boston Properties to learn about planned changes to the Rotary that connects Route 20 to Route 128 near the Cedarwood neighborhood. Those plans include adding traffic lights and removing one of two on-ramps to the northbound side of 128, and work is expected to begin next year. Christine Mackin from our team attended that visit, and she'll have more details for you on our debrief show. At a meeting on April 28th, the Waltham Public Library unveiled plans to apply for a grant from the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners to fund its first major renovation in about 30 years. The library hopes to not only address some of its current facility issues, such as lack of sufficient bathrooms and air conditioning, but also make improvements to its makerspace and other programmatic areas. Christine was also at that meeting, so she'll have some more details for you on the debrief show. Charles River Food Co-op, a group that has been working on creating a community-owned food store in Waltham or nearby, has an event coming up on May 5th. They'll be screening the film Food for Change at the West Newton Cinema at 10 a.m. And you can find more info on their website, charlesriverfood.coop. Thank you very much for watching. The next thing we post will be our debrief show, so stay tuned.